Welcome back. Television personality Masechaba Ndlovu has launched a policy for victims of crime and abuse. She decided to go this route after dealing with the trauma of being held at gunpoint twice last year. The policy is called Kibuphelo Baka, which means it's my life, and is in partnership with My Personal Lifeline. She joins us now for the conversation. Welcome to the studio this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me, Faith.
Let's talk a little bit about the policy in itself. It's caused quite a stir on social media and various other parts of the media. How does it work? How did the concept even come about?
Well, as you've fully mentioned, I have been a victim of crime myself. More especially recently in 2019 when I was robbed twice. And so I partnered up with CDA Solutions, which is an accredited financial services provider, to create a product that basically is a crime prevention tool. It's a crime empowerment tool, where you will pay a minimal amount every single month to ensure that you are given the necessary emergency support to be able to handle any situation that you and your family can face. And it includes various elements that we can discuss in the course of the interview.
Yeah, and of course, it's looking at, crime in itself, gender-based violence, those have fallen rape, HIV as well. So then the question is, to what extent does the policy cover? So in other words, let's say that hypothetically speaking, I'm a victim of rape or domestic violence in this case, because it does cover domestic violence. Cover for domestic violence, what support do I get, and to what extent does that support go?
So when we speak about domestic violence, which also in a broader sense is gender-based violence, and that for me has been the one thing that a lot of people have focused on the most, is just one of the many elements that are contained within the bouquet of benefits that this benefit policy plan holds. So specifically we're looking at, case in point, I'm a woman who survived gender-based violence. When I want to leave my relationship and I have a man who is threatening to kill me for wanting to exit, what do I need? I need an exit strategy, don't I? I need to know that I have a safe place to stay if I decide to leave this man. I need to know that I have some form of communication in the form of a cell phone or in the form of any type of communication with the world. I need to know that I've got cash in the bank or in my hands. I need to know that I've got lawyers. I need to know that I've got private investigators who will make sure that I have the information that I need should this lead to a court case. So these are just some of the benefits that I'm mentioning, highlighting to you, and there are many more that are a crime survival kit. And mind you, this is not a gender-based violence kit. This is a crime survival tool. It is a crime prevention, a crime survival tool that also happens to contain gender-based violence and domestic violence in some of the elements.
Well, of course, it's got the crimes, it's got the rape, and immediately in my head right now, because South Africa was facing not so long ago a case of the shortage of certain rape kits being disseminated across private and public sectors, right? So that I would expect that this policy, through it, you are able then to make available such rape kits in the event that that should happen. And then how do you then respond to critics on social media, because social media was very divided about this, saying that you're trying to cash in on the misfortune of individuals that have either been victims of domestic violence or victims of rape, that all this is a money-making scheme on your behalf?
Well, to answer that question, Faith, I would say there are parents who will take their kids to government schools. There are parents who will take their kids to private schools. All the schools within this particular group will receive an education, but based on what you can afford and based on what you choose, it is about the experience that you choose or the experience that you can afford. So it doesn't mean that we are eliminating the services of NGOs or NPOs, but remember that this is not an NPO, this is a business. At the end of the day, we've identified a need, we've identified a problem, and so we are providing a solution to this particular problem. And a lot, not even a lot of, let's also be cognizant of the fact that, Faith, there are less than 10% of South Africans on social media, particularly Twitter. We have 56 million South Africans on Twitter, and approximately less than 10 million of that 56 million South Africans that exist, and less than 6 million on Twitter. And so Twitter is not a reflection of what South Africans feel. But also, with that said, we have to bear in mind that we take the criticism very seriously, but it's also coming from people that call me an activist, people that say that why should victims pay for this particular service? Why are you paying for medical aid? Why don't we all just go to government hospitals? If that's the case.
Look, it's a very interesting, as I said, 136 Rand a month is what I believe is being asked of anybody to come in, officially to come in, and then obviously you get in the policies. And I'm thinking that as the policies provide certain aspects of it, then the numbers will vary depending on what exactly you're paying for, etc.
Specifically.
Exactly. So then, but in that sense, though, you can appreciate the fact that individuals will look at it and say, but I'm supposed to be given a green room if I'm a victim of rape, right, or if I'm a victim of domestic violence. I'm supposed to automatically be given a rape kit. It's my right to know that when I go and I report a case of rape, that I'm given ARVs to ensure that indeed I do not contract a certain disease and I've got a certain number of hours. It's my right to ensure that I get a prevention pill that ensures that I'm not pregnant if I am a victim of rape or any kind of abuse for that matter. So on this, you are that individual that is standing at the forefront of it. And South Africans are going to respond and say, as much as we hear you in terms of you've got this policy, it doesn't take away the fact that, are you making money out of our pain? And that's the thing, isn't it? Because once we can get past the intent, then we can go into the real issue here, that people must not see it as are you making money from my pain? In a world where we know, South African statistics, 5 times more women in this country face femicide than any other country in the world.
Well, brilliant. I feel like you've asked the question and you've beautifully answered it in the question in itself. So to respond to what you said, at the end of the day, we don't ask any other institution, any other insurance company, we don't address their insurance policies as saying, and by the way, this industry is white male dominated. And so the question here is not that I'm charging people 136 rands per month to ensure that they have an exit strategy or that they have a crime empowerment tool. What the real issue here is, Faith, is that I'm a black female who is taking up space in the insurance industry. That's what the real issue is. And granted, my response to that is that we are not here to eliminate the services that are provided by government-funded institutions. Mind you, just because something is free of charge, it doesn't mean that it's not paid for. All the NGOs or the NPOs that you're looking at that are complaining about the fact that we're charging for our services are actually receiving funding from the government or from corporate services. So at the end of the day, they are too making money from this in one way or another. There's no NPO that can survive without funding. So what's the argument?
It's a bunch of haters sometimes.
Yes,
it
is.
Speaking.
That's exactly what it is. So what's the argument here? What are we talking about here? I'm a social entrepreneur. The difference here is that I'm not funded by government. The difference is that I built this business from the ground.
Well, it's as I said for you, it's a very interesting concept, and I think that, again, the question is around intention, and if the intention is correct, there's nothing that will stop it from succeeding, because then it's in the respect of helping people, and you are taking space in a place where it is very masculine and it is private. It's 100%, it's a fact. However, at the end of it, it's what? Intention.
10 years from now, I will still be talking about this. 10 years from now. And at the end of the day, at least I can declare how my business is structured. Let the NPOs declare where they get their funding from.
Masechaba, we're going to leave it there for now. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. And by the way, on that note, log on to www.mypersonallifeline.co.za. Empower yourself. Don't be a victim.